Hey guys, so today I'm going to compare shots of the one I did at the field and one of Nathan Redmond's training sessions. So let's have a look at Nathan. So one of the reasons I like Nathan Redmond's, he's like one of the better finishers, at least at the time of the training session, and I find that I shoot similar to him. He opens up his hits, shoots with the inside of the sweet spot of the foot, and has a nice fall through. He doesn't turn his hips too early as some others do. Sometimes he for the most part, his foot shoots there or ends up there, and he gets around the ball and just shoots pretty much in the same directions. Some players, I find, they'll have their plant foot, in this direction, and they'll swing their hips very early, and then to get into that designated spot. So let's watch the bottom video of me doing it earlier. Okay, so let's get these videos in sync, and we can do a closer comparison. See. Okay, this is the last step before he's about to strike the ball. This is my last step. So a couple things to notice. Nathan's inside the box. Yeah, so he has a bit of a shorter distance than I do. This makes sense. He's like inside the box. He just can't knock it too far, and he needs to be quick to get in to get that shot quickly. Also, like you can see, my run-up is a bit more direct. His is a bit more angled. Now he's actually really good at getting, even though he's running, this way. As he's beginning to turn and wind up, his plant foot's there, and his hips open up. He's not, again, putting his plant foot in this direction and then turning his hips early to get that shot to the bottom corner. So let's look at a bit more. Okay, so let's have a look. It seems Nathan's distance to the ball is a bit slightly closer to mine, but it's not the biggest difference. It really depends, your leg shape, your length. So that's not the biggest deal. Do keep in mind that Nathan did have a more perpendicular run up, so and he has to turn that foot over before he plants the ball. So just keep that in mind for later in the video. Okay. So one thing you notice at the bottom is that knee motion. I thought it was a little peculiar. It's not necessarily right or wrong, but if I'm trying to perfect my technique for some other players, just to be aware of it. So you see me doing that little knee motion, like I'm being the friendly ghost here. Let's see Nathan. He's more or less doing the same thing. Over here. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see, but generally, when he looked at this clip a bit closer together, Ethan hits it more with the middle of his foot. I hit closer to my ankle. So again, just something to practice later to see if hitting with the middle of the foot might be preferable. So okay, so so at this point, you see both are flat foots off the ground, kind of leaned over to the left. Nathan's looks like he's leaned a bit closer, a bit more to the left than I am. You see, you kind of know this top and the bottom difference. He has more of a lean. This could be due to the fact that he did have that perpendicular run up and have to twist at the last second. So some of that momentum is carrying forward. Now, one thing I want to notice is you see his left hip. It's slightly forward than his right flip, same as mine. So my left hip here, my right hip here. So a lot of players, especially when they're trying to aim for this, bottom right corner or this top bin here, what they'll do is, they'll open their hips, and then as they're about to hit the ball, they close their hips, and or even close it even further, and they lose power on the shot, and they don't get the shot as they intended. So, one thing to know is, just as you hit the ball, just little to no turn after you make contact with the ball, because you have the right contact with the ball as you hit it, and then you don't want to turn your hips too much, because you want to have that nice fall through and guide the ball to where you want. Also notice, you see my arms a bit back there, Nathan's arms a bit more to the side. You know, I don't think that's like the biggest thing to notice. Sometimes when I shoot, I do find that my arm does tend to come here to keep balance. I'm pretty sure this has to do with his run up, since he ran a lot more perpendicular than I did to get the last shot. So next training session, that's something for me to consider. Having a more perpendicular run up, and maybe even a shorter wind up for my last step before I strike the ball as my planting foot hits the ground. Okay, so and finally, one thing I like to do is so it's obviously I'm going for more consistency and accuracy over pure power. For pure power, I generally just use the laces and really drill it, but still want some decent pace on the ball, or the keeper can still save it even if it goes into the corner. So Nathan's a bit closer to the net here, so but you can still try to compare. So it's good for like some other shots where the distance is a bit similar. So let's just for demonstration purposes see how my shot compares to Nathan's. And at about that point, it reaches the goal, and mine's still up in the air. Okay, so I mean, again, it's hard to say. I have a feeling Nathan's is slightly a bit faster than mine, but again, it's not that big of a deal.